Hello YouTube. In this video I'm going to tackle the topic of look maxing for males. Because a lot of people start lifting to look better, and that's perfectly understandable, and lifting will make you look better. But there are other areas of improvement that you can work upon to actually increase your value, at least on the dating market, or just to be more attractive to other people. And that, of course, is also perfectly fine. Don't let people tell you or talk you into looking like shit because apparently it's the right thing to do. Wanting to look good, yes, is ego-driven, but is perfectly normal and healthy. You want to be the version of you that you feel the most comfortable about. You want to build a body where you're comfortable in your skin, because it's going to make you not only a more desirable person, but also a better person to be around, because you'll be appeased and at peace with who you are. The entire concept of looks not mattering is something that was invented by ugly people to feel better about themselves, because it actually helps them cope, because that way they don't have to work on themselves. I can tell you that regardless of the way you look, you can always do things to look better. The problem, of course, is that this very concept has been reutilized by people to make money off of, or to give false sense of hope to certain groups of people, especially the people who were born with less than desirable facial features, or certain traits that society just does not deem attractive. And these people are very vulnerable, and they're very easy to abuse, because you can tell them and sell them the idea that they can actually buy their way out of that. And that's not true. None of the things I'm going to be listing today need you to pay any amount of money to anyone. You just have to put in the effort and actually strategize, because looks maxing is mostly strategy. You're going to have to be smart about this. So you're going to notice also that in this video, I'm going to have a no-nonsense approach, and I'm also going to debunk and tackle the things that I think are stupid in this very word and area, because in reality it's its own niche. There's an entire subgroup of YouTube channels that only care about look maxing. And to me, that's a problem, because wanting to look more attractive is great, of course, but it shouldn't be your main pursuit in life. It's like what I discussed in the Why Do We Lift video. You start lifting maybe to get girls, but eventually you realize that it's more than that. You transcended that concept a long time ago. And if you never do that, you're going to be stuck at a level of comprehension and consciousness that is just low. It's going to prevent you from actually reaching the best part of who you are. And that's most look maxing channels, most channels that only care about that, about improving the way you look. They fail to realize that you improve the way you look mostly to improve your mental health and your perception of yourself, not necessarily for others, but you'll see that the two go hand in hand if you do it properly. So, as I stated, a large portion of looks maxing is going to be done through lifting, because regardless of your size, of your height, of your face, of your complexion, of your hair, all of these variables will be increased by lifting, meaning that the most aesthetic your body looks, regardless of what you perceive to be aesthetic, the better you will fare in terms of looks. There's not a single person on earth that would look better with less muscles, at least for naturals. And therefore, this is going to be the main focus. There is absolutely no point in spending hours in fixing your hair and doing your skincare routine if you don't lift. All of that is for nothing. Lifting is 80%. And once you got that down, you can start working on the rest. So I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but if you don't lift, there's not even a point in you listening to the rest of the video, because you're missing out on the biggest portion of it. So, I also want to say, before I really start into the tiny nitty details of looks maxing, which make the practice interesting to discuss, that I'm not a big fashion guy. I think you can tell. I own a very small amount of clothes, and I've been told by multiple people that I dress like shit, and I wouldn't disagree with them actually. The best roast I ever received in my life was someone who told me that I looked like the guy from No Country for Old Men, because that day I was rocking a leather coat with high boots that look like sneakers and shitty jeans. I've never seen the movie, but I'm sure that it's accurate. So this is not coming from a place of someone who's a hype beast and who's going to tell you, oh, you have to wear this exact color with this. I don't care about that. To me, that's not even what looks maxing is. you're going to see that all of this is completely useless and to an extent dangerous because, again, as I said, it's over-focusing on things that are so minute that at the end of the day, you're missing the point and you're losing the plot. I'm going to discuss clothes, of course, but not in the fashion that you expect. I'm also not an Instagram influencer, so I'm not going to try and sell you things. And you will see also that all of the advice I give is just basic stuff. Because looking good is basic. A portion of that is genetics, of course, the way you're born and what you have to play with and deal with. But after that, the continuation of that is just common sense. And if you've never done that and you start after this video, keep in mind that it's not a revolution. It's something that you would have figured out eventually because it's what you would have naturally end up doing to look better. So, in terms of maxing out your looks, you have a plethora of areas to work on. And they all concerned either things that you put on your body and that you keep on your body permanently, like clothes or tattoos or stuff like this, and things that you apply on the body to make it look better. And these things can be seen like buffs. In reality, it's like if we're going to take the example of an RPG, you have your main character and you have his base stats. When the character is naked, he already has these stats. When you add stuff and equipment on top, it buffs the stats. That's LOOKSMAXXING. The things that you add buff you up. But the base state is what matters at the start. This is why you lift. But it also means that some people are advantaged because, yes, looks are mostly dictated by genetics. Not all of them, but a large portion of it. And yes, it's very unfair, but that's the world you were born in. There's no point in complaining about that. You should focus on improving. This means that what works for someone might not work for everyone. This is why the type of advice you receive from the guy who's 6'4" with blue eyes and perfect skin on Instagram might not work for you because you're 5'7" with shitty skin and brown hair or whatever. Meaning that you are taking advice from someone who's an outlier in terms of attractiveness when you yourself are average at best. So it just doesn't work. This advice I'm going to give you comes from someone who is fairly average. I'm not especially tall, I'm 6 feet. I'm not wide in the shoulders, I'm actually the exact opposite, I'm very narrow. I don't consider myself to be extremely attractive or gorgeous, but I do think that compared to the average male population of my age, I am above the curve by a mile because I take care of myself, meaning that all of the other fat souls cannot compete with me, and I am aware of the way I look, and I know how to play it to my advantage without being obsessed about it, because also I do think that the problem and the danger of young men being obsessed with the very concept of LOOKSMAXXING is that you end up being consumed by it. And again, at the risk of sounding sexist, that's a feminine trait. It's sort of okay, and even that I disagree with, but it is seen as acceptable for women to spend all of that time doing their makeup and their hair and blah, blah, blah. And it is not the case for males. In my opinion, you are losing the essence of what truly makes you a male when you start doing these things. Because your value is not correlated with external things that you slap on your body. Again, as I said, I also believe that the actual value of a woman is not explained and expressed by these things. But so for both genders, I think that there is a different direction that you should be taking. And this is the essence of what I'm going to be sharing with you today. Because most of the advice, again, that you get from these super chads who tell you, oh, just do this and you'll be attractive, in reality just make you despair because they're giving you advice that works for them but won't work for you, and therefore you're going to resent the fact that you lack the attributes that make LOOKSMAXXING possible in the first place in these individuals. What I want to share with you guys today, and I mean guys because it's going to be advice for men, I'm not a female, is hope. Hope that actually you can apply yourself all of these things, even if you're short, a wimp, if you're ugly, if you are born with certain characteristics that are seen as non-desirable, for example, being short, as I said, having a wimp skull where you have a massive cranium and a small jaw, if you have no jawline, etc. All of these are non-attractive biologically, and there's no way for you to change that. But you can change what's around it and make it better. You can always improve. So that's the gist of it. And that is going to mostly manifest itself through your attitude. if you're constantly down on yourself and you're constantly, throwing a pity party and looking for people's appreciation and acceptation, all of that makes you less attractive because you're needy. And no one likes neediness. It's the reason why, in reality, having all of the attributes that make you attractive is more than just the physical. It's what it makes you feel like. Someone is attractive not necessarily just because of the way they look, but because of the way they behave, because of the way they look. And this innate confidence, as I said, can be built through lifting. This is why lifting is so paramount, is because it's going to build that attitude. But beyond that, it's also going to take from you some effort to stop looking at yourself as a miserable being. You're not that. But if you continuously tell yourself that you are, you will become that. And I understand that it's tough when the entire world has been treating you like shit because of the way you look. You didn't pick the way you look. It's just pure bad luck. But it is your choice to stop being that guy who lets other people walk all over him because of the way his face was molded at birth. You are more than just that. You can elevate yourself. And that starts with attitude. It's cliche to say, but it's true. I know plenty of guys who on paper are just fucked. They're short, they're ugly, they have bad teeth, they have shitty hair, and yet they're attractive. And they get girls because at the end of the day, of course, the reason why you're looksmaxxing is because you want a girlfriend. And this is not going to be the video where I give you advice on how to get women, but I can tell you this. The more you obsess about getting a girlfriend, the less of a chance you have, because you reek desperation, and women can smell that from miles away. They hate it. So if you become that guy who is obsessed about the topic of looksmaxxing and never actually understands that what he does for himself first and foremost and not for others and their acceptation, then you will be stuck in that place for the rest of your life. And therefore, you need to exude a confidence that even if it doesn't exist yet, will eventually be your reality because you're going to practice it. And you have to be positive to do that. And that also is going to start playing a bigger role in your life as you modify the way you exist. And this is posture. There's a lot of discussion around posture. Some people say there's no such thing as a bad posture. All I can tell you is this. Between someone who sits like this and someone who sits like this is more attractive. Good posture is more attractive. I vividly remember going to an interview of sorts to go into a very prestigious high school and sitting in my chair very straight, like with my back like this. And the provisor, the director of the establishment eventually told me, you have a really, like he said, tu as une belle colonne vertébrale, which means you have a strong spine. And what he meant by that is that I was sitting straight. I was looking at him in the eye, chest puffed. And he had spent the entire day interviewing other guys who were sitting slouched with weak eye contact. And that was the difference between me not getting the job and me actually getting accepted in that very good school. And that was the difference. It was my posture. I was a wimp back then. But my attitude was not telling him that. It was telling him that I was someone that he could trust. And therefore, I got the position. I want you to do the same in life. Walk as if you meant it. You exist. You have the right to exist, regardless of the way you look. That's looksmaxxing, but it goes through here first and foremost. The way you exist around people, the way you actually interact with the environment makes you very attractive. Take two people with the same exact body and face and give them two different realities to live in. One can be someone who is loved by people and very popular, and one can be hated. Even if all of the other variables are exactly the same through their body language. Body language is important. And it also carries forward with your attitude because the two are connected. You rarely see someone who's very confident walking, as I said, with slouched shoulders and looking down. The two go in pair in reality. The way you feel is the way you move, and the way you move is the way you feel. You want the two of them because you can look max as much as you want. It doesn't matter at the end of the day if your attitude and personality is poor. You will quickly understand that you get people's attention via your looks, and then you retain it with the way you behave with them and with the wood. So that's key. Before I even start talking about all of that stuff with the hair and the clothes, get that down, understand that. And so, as we continue discussing this, I also want you to understand that the space around you is your own, and you deserve that space. A lot of people think that because they're born ugly or with disadvantages, then they're lesser than others. And that also translates in the way they occupy space. And you find that with the entire chart of beta versus alpha. An alpha takes a lot of space. Why? He thinks he's worth it. He thinks that he deserves that space. Betas don't. They take as little space as possible. It's these guys you see on the subway or whatever who cross their legs and they scrunch their shoulders like this because they don't want to impose on others. Impose on others. Be a man, all right? Take up space. Man spread as much as you want. Who is going to stop you? Take up the space that you need. Of course, don't be a jerk about it. Don't start just putting your legs on top of other people's lap, but you have a right on this planet to take up space, and anyone who tells you otherwise is trying to diminish you. So exist, okay? Amplify yourself. I am firmly confident in the fact that being constantly in an open position like this, with your legs actually open and not closed like a woman, is doing something for your hormonal profile, because it teaches your body, okay, you're being dominant right now. Like you're taking space right now. This must mean that your hormonal profile is alike. Let us boost that. To me, this is not necessarily something that is going to eventually be proved or not, but in terms of psychology, it makes a ton of sense. So you want to take up space. Don't become the guy who walks like this on the street, but just be natural, be open, be relaxed. Because most of those postures I described where you're slouching forward, in reality, these are tense postures. You're like a ball of nerve. When you relax naturally, everything opens, right? You become more open. And in terms of body language, it's very important too, because a closed body language, when your arms are closed or when you cover your mouth or you cover your face, these are signs of insecurity. You're trying to protect yourself. You don't want people to be able to get in. When you're opening like this, it also attracts people. So if you're someone who's socially awkward and you want to make connections, you can buy 50,000 sweatshirts. It's not going to do anything if you wear them with the same attitude once you're actually in the situations. So you want to fix the way the body moves before you fix the way the body looks. So as I said, chest puffed, head high, take up space, and breathe through your nose. I'm not going to explain it to you too long here. I have a video in the description about that. It's paramount. You want to breathe through your nose. Now let's get into the stuff that some of you clicked on for, which is the hair and the clothes. In terms of the hair, the advice I have for you guys is don't wash your hair too often. Because unlike what you may think, it makes it more greasy over time because you're constantly tiring your hair out. Your hair likes having that natural oil on it. It's in a sense a sort of nourishment for it. You don't want to constantly take it away from it. So I would recommend that instead of washing your hair five times a week, you go down to 2 to 3 times and only use shampoo once out of those 3 times. Get a shampoo that's not full of toxins. Get something that is as close to possible as natural ingredients that still does the job. Your hair doesn't smell. Hair doesn't smell bad unless you have a medical condition. Therefore, you don't need all of those perfumes and stuff just clogging up your pores. Do something to get rid of the grease once a week. Rest of the time, wash them just with water. And when you wash them, you want to wash them with cold water. It removes sebum, which makes the hair greasy faster. And this is the hair routine that you should follow. I truly think that all of these things that people put on their hair and the coloring and the this and that, at the end of the day, it just makes it worse. You want to keep it simple. You want to keep it healthy. I'm not going to give advice on how to prevent hair loss, because that would be the equivalent of someone who goes up to an amputee and teaches them how to actually walk on one leg. I have, and this is one of the gifts I have, perfect hair genetics, meaning that I know I'm going to have hair for the rest of my life. I have the opposite problem of hair loss where they grow too fast and I have to shave them every single month. So I have nothing to say about that. I would just tell you to be careful with the type of supplements you take. Like creatine can actually speed hair loss in some people. Stress can also play a factor. And of course, toxic shampoos and all of the stuff you put in your hair. Special motion for hair gel. Hair gel kills your hair because it prevents it from breathing. You don't want to put that stuff in your hair. Just wash it and then wake up in the morning, do this. And that's it. The more you bully your hair into doing this and that and the colors and this, the more tired it is and the faster it dies in reality. You will find also that if you're someone who lives in a big city with a lot of pollution, your hair gets greasier faster, and that might force you to wash it more often. If that's the case, I would recommend moving out of a big city. And if that's not possible, maybe find a shampoo that's less aggressive. You want something that is not going to attack the scalp as much, because the scalp is where the hair grows. A lot of hair loss is caused by a scalp that is in a poor condition, not necessarily the hair, because if it cannot get nutrients from the skin and from the body, it just dies. I want to make a quick segue here into a small topic, the topic of perfumes, because it links also to what I'm going to discuss afterwards, which is hygiene. So in terms of perfume, I personally am against perfumes, meaning that to me, you want to keep your smell as natural as possible. And if you have to douse yourself in perfume, there's a problem. It might mean that you have poor hygiene in the first place. A little bit of perfume here and there is okay, but there is a very simple rule to follow with perfume. If someone can smell you when you enter a room, then you're wearing too much perfume. Perfume is something you discover. It's something that is very intimate. If someone is not very close to you, if a girl, for example, is not on the verge of kissing you, she shouldn't be able to smell your perfume. So go easy on it. Don't be the guy that is covered in Axe body spray. It smells terrible, okay? And in terms of body spray, same thing that with the shampoos. When you put stuff here, that is a very sensitive area of the male body, very close to a lot of glands, you don't want to put toxic products there. So go easy on the deodorant. Instead, shave your pits, because the hair in your armpit is retaining the smell, and wash it regularly. And if you have to use something, you can use a natural deodorant, or you can even do your own mixture with mint and lemon. All of that works really well with actually getting rid of the smell. Don't be the guy who does that thing, the shit underneath. Not only is that bad for your armpits and for your health, it's bad for your lungs. You're breathing that in. That's toxic. You want something that you can apply that doesn't leave a huge coat of stuff underneath the arm, and you move on with your day. And if you have to wash out through the day, you wash out. That's perfectly normal. Understand also that the way you smell is correlated with the way you eat. A lot of the people who have bad body odor do so because they have a bad diet. It can be because they eat too much saturated fat, they eat too much junk food, they eat too much, what is the big culprit to spices. A lot of people smell when they eat spices. All of these participate, because you can look like $1,000,000 if you smell like a dead rodent. No one is going to approach you, especially not women. Women are very sensitive to smell, so be careful with that. And the reason why I said that you want your natural smell to be prevalent is because, as strange as it might sound, what you might perceive to be a bad smell, the manly smell, can actually be very attractive, because what you smell is actually pheromones. And by that I don't mean that you want to smell like a cage of monkeys, but a little bit of musk isn't the end of the wood. You don't need to smell like a flower, because women, even though some of them like flowers, don't date flowers. You want to smell like a man a little bit. Of course, to an extent, you want to keep yourself clean and groomed as well. And if we're talking grooming, besides the pit, I believe that it's up to preferences. Some guys like to shave. I personally don't. I keep my chest full. I keep every hair on my body untouched besides my back, because it looks terrible. But that's it. In terms of look maxing, I think that we could have a discussion about that. Some people say that you look more lean when you're shaved. To me, it's what you want. I like to keep my hair because it looks more manly, and on someone who has a lot of muscle plus body fat, it looks cool. It's really dependent on the look you want to give out and your personality. But if you're going to shave, I would recommend getting an electric razor. It's very easy to use. On the topic of hygiene, now that I've discussed perfumes in length, I also want to say that when we're talking about showers, you want to apply the same rules I described with the shampoo, because just with the idea of protecting the hair when you wash it, you want to protect your skin. Your skin is like a sponge. It absorbs a lot of things. So if you constantly cover yourself with soap full of chemicals, guess what's going on? You're absorbing all of that. You want to find something that's as natural as possible. I highly recommend bar soaps. The way our ancestors used to do it. It's made with goat milk and whatever the fuck, mint. It's perfectly healthy and natural, and it smells amazing. Again, keep in mind that you smelling like a chemical factory is not attractive. It might be objectively a good smell, but in terms of applicability in everyday life, you just smell like everyone else. Like, I personally have a very good sense of smell, and sometimes I recognize the perfume people are wearing, and it just breaks my heart when I meet 15 people in the same day who smell the exact same. Your smell is like your signature. If you have a certain smell, people are going to recognize you by it, and guess what? You could actually seduce people by it. I've heard multiple times of men and women alike that what they really liked in their crush was their smell, and when that person walked by them, they took a whiff and it did something, like your feelings are aroused because you catch the pheromones, but you catch that signature smell. And you want that to be a good smell so that it's positively affiliated in people's brains. That way, when they're around you, they also feel comfortable because they can smell you. But if you smell like nothing, or if you smell like, again, chemicals, it's not going to do the trick. So again, bar soap, absolutely. And you don't necessarily need to use soap every time you rinse, because if you actually have a balanced diet and you don't exude bad body odors all the time, you won't have to just soak yourself in soap to smell okay. Keep that in mind. In terms of the temperature of the shower, I made a video on cold showers. It's in the comments. Cold showers are great. Hot showers are also okay. It's the same for your hair. You can wash it with it, but I would prefer you use cold water across the board. It's, to me, something that is more conducive to a regimented lifestyle. It's not applicable for everyone, of course, but prefer that. It tightens the skin. It does a lot of good things for you. So that's for the skin in terms of washing it. Now, in terms of skincare routine, as I said again, I am the type of guy who wakes up in the morning, again, does this, and just goes to work. I don't really do a lot of things for myself. And when I was a teenager, it was the exact opposite. I took a lot of time working on my skin and putting the creams and stuff, and all it did for me was make it worse. Meaning that I was constantly buttering my skin when it was trying to balance itself out, so it never figured it out. And the day I was just like, you know what, screw it, I'm too lazy, my skin just cleared out, and it got all better. Because skin, to me, is in high proportions also diet. What you eat has a direct correlation with the way you look. And you also have to pay attention to your natural predisposition. I'm someone who has Mediterranean skin, whatever that means, because I have African and Spaniard ancestry, and so my skin is constantly oily. If I do this, my finger shines because I'm constantly covered in oils. That, in some people, is correlated with really bad acne. But for me, it's not. It just keeps my skin moistured and moisturized all the time. I've never had to use moisturizers in my life. But that's because I'm that type of skin. Some people need to moisturize because their skin is too dry. But understand that the way your skin functions is in line with the environment your ancestors went through when they actually lived their life. And the traits that were passed down most of the time were the most adapted for that environment. A lot of the people like me who have greasy skin are people who lived or evolved in very warm environments. So it was really necessary to preserve the skin from the sun. People who have dry skin are people who are not used to these environments. They tend to actually evolve in colder environments. All of that is coded in your DNA, and you have to understand that to apply the right measures so that you can actually have a good skin, a healthy skin throughout your life. Keep in mind that drinking a lot of water is important as well to have a healthy, good-looking skin, and that if we're going to also tap on another valuable, sleep also matters. To me, if I stop sleeping as much, my skin degrades. So you have to keep that valuable in mind too. You have to keep everything in balance. LOOKSMAXXING is more about having a strict regimented lifestyle rather than going on some website and buying a ton of hair product. It's what you're going to do as a routine that is going to keep you looking good, looking fresh. Because a good looking skin keeps you young for longer. Your skin is shinier, it's more attractive. Same for your hair. All of these are traits correlated with attractiveness in both genders. A woman, if you have two images of a woman, one with shiny hair and skin and one without, the one with shiny everything is going to look much more attractive. And it's the same for males. So you want to keep all of that primal. Now, onto the topic of teeth. But before I do that, let's talk about hair a little bit more. So I discussed how to keep it clean. Now, how to style it to look good, because that's a big part, in reality, maybe 40% of look maxing. It's looking good with your haircut and the hairstyle. I was always the kid that just went to the hairdresser and just got any haircut, and of course I looked terrible. And the day I realized that I needed to experiment is the day it started actually getting better. Meaning that I actually tried stuff out. Instead of doing the same thing out of comfort, I tried to find a style that fits my face. And I did some catastrophic things, of course. I gave myself bowl cuts and everything. But I would recommend you start learning how to cut your own hair, especially if you're a male, because it's extremely easy in reality. You just have to start to learn, and you're going to mess yourself up a few times. But once you have it down, you're going to save money, and you'll be able to give yourself the exact haircut you want every single time. For a lot of guys, you go to the barber, it's the Russian roulette. Unless you really know the guy, he can give you any haircut. If you know how to do it yourself, you're safe. So get that down. For me, the one I particularly like is I just shave to the sides, shave the back, let the hair grow, and push it towards the natural implantation to the side. A lot of guys are going to favor that because it makes the face look longer, it makes it look skinnier, and that is a good look because you have more hair on top, so it's an illusion. This is not the best haircut for everyone. This, depending on your type of face, long hair could be cool, any type of dreads could be cool if you can pull it off, but you need to figure out for yourself. Don't just go on YouTube and look at the new trendy haircut and do it. It's just going to put you in the same category as everyone else. Look maxing is about finding who you are, and who you are is not the rest of the wood. You're not part of the hood. And if you want to actually stand out and be attractive to women, keep in mind that yes, they do have, in a sense, an attraction towards trendiness, but more than that, what they like more is individuality. And by having your own style, you're going to separate yourself from the other candidates. So that is very important to do as well. And again, before I talk about the teeth, I wanted to add one last thing about skin and especially the face, because of course, people are obsessed with the face. It's part of black pill culture to tell people that it doesn't matter how much they lift. If you don't have a good looking face, you're fucked. That's a lie, of course. It's propagated by people who have lost hope and they want other people to feel the way they do. They don't have some sort of elevated truth about the topic. They're just straight up wrong. Because if you want a perfect example, you go back to my very first video and you look at my face then, and then you look at my face now. I looked 10 times worse when I started the channel. Why? I was puffy in the face. And that was because of water retention and fat. So just like this, I went from a bad looking face to an okay looking face. And this is true for every single person. As I said, everyone will actually benefit from having a good looking body regardless of the ugliness of your face. But on top of that, you can heighten the status of your face. And we'll get into that. A lot of people love to hear that because they hate the way they look and they want to change it. That is okay. I want you to be at peace with yourself. So let me give you the first advice. Be very careful what you eat. Your diet has a strong impact on the way your face looks, more than you think. More than even your body. A lot of people think, oh, if I eat this way, I'll get abs. Yeah, maybe, but more importantly, if you eat this way, you could actually lose some chunkiness here. For me, the game changer was actually cutting dairy from my life. The second I stopped eating dairy is the day all of that junk and bloat I had in my face went away. I'm not saying that dairies are bad. I'm saying that if you have experimented that bloat and you don't know where it's coming from, cut dairies. I'm at the same body weight I am when I started the channel. And look at the way I look now. It's like all of that was toxins and garbage. I made a video about that. The problems of estrogen heavy food on certain individuals and the way it makes you retain fat and water has an impact on your looks. So be careful. Find the type of diet that works for you. No one can tell you what it is. You have to figure it out. Just like with your haircut. You have to experiment. Now, onto the teeth, finally. Teeth are critical. They're one in the middle of your face. Two, smiles are very important if you're going to want to be attractive and actually, get people to like you. because you constantly show your teeth. And we are still primates in a sense. And a large part of the communication that happens between primates is with our teeth. Showing your teeth can be a sign of aggression, of being submissive, all of that. In humans, we are still maintaining some of these codes, even though we don't even know it. So you want your teeth to be pristine, even just for the way they look. I don't recommend whitening them unless they're really bad. I would recommend instead not doing the things that make them look bad in the first place, like sugar, coffee, tea, and cigarettes. All of these taint your teeth. It stains your teeth. It makes them look yellow or brown. If you do these things, you look less attractive by default. On top of that, if you smoke, you smell bad. If you drink coffee, you have coffee breath. These are different things altogether, but keep in mind that it compounds. And you're going to leave a bad impression on people. Guarantee you that if the first impression a girl has of you is poorly looking teeth and a type of smell that is not acceptable or pleasurable at all, she's not going to have any good idea or perception of who you are. And it's going to make your job afterwards to try and seduce her much more complicated. So keep your teeth clean and keep your teeth healthy. Having problems with your dentition is the pits. When you have your teeth who start to hurt and you have cavities and you can't eat what you want, it's going to degrade your mental health and the way you perceive yourself. And on top of that, when you put your finger in that mechanism and that engrenage, it's over. You're going to have teeth problems for the rest of your life. A lot of the things that can be done to fix it are very invasive, they are very expensive. Might as well just take care of it at the start. Reduce sugar consumption. Consume your calcium, your vitamin D, and brush your stupid teeth. Just do it. Don't be the guy who didn't do it for 10 years and now is fucked. Don't drink sodas, brush your teeth, and you'll be golden. In reality, I've always thought that it is very easy to maintain a good dentition. You just have to not be a complete idiot. So that's that for this advice on teeth, on hygiene. If you want to learn about toothpaste and all that surrounds the very idea of using it or not using it, I personally use it. Again, try to find something that is as natural as possible. And if you want a replacement for something that is going to make your breath smell fresh, you can chew mint, you can bite on lemons. All of that helps with bad breath. Now, onto the topic of skin and taking the sun. It's something that is accepted across the board pretty much. The tanner you are, the better you look, as long as it's a natural tan. Nothing looks worse than those fake orange tans that looks completely stupid. And also, being sunburnt is not being tan. Being tan is a natural thing to do for humans because you're taking the sun, which is healthy for you. You want to take the sun as much as possible, which is going to get you tan. But that depends on individuals, as I said. Just like with the skin type, it's related to your ancestry. Do you have a lot of melanin? Do you have ancestors who spent a lot of time in the sun? Then maybe you are more tolerant to it. Don't be the guy who is pale as an ass and who goes out and turns into a lobster. I do not understand these people. It's like you're trying to get in trouble. Not only are you not tanning, you're hurting your skin and you're not getting the benefits you would from the sun because your skin cannot absorb the sun to turn it into vitamin D the way others can. So be actually in tune with how much you can take. And that includes not dousing yourself in sunscreen to then spend 15 hours in the sun. It doesn't make any sense. First off, a lot of sunscreens are maybe the number one most disruptive thing to put on yourself in terms of hormonal profile. It kills it entirely. And you doing that and then going in the sun to be more anabolic makes no sense. It's like, what would be a good comparison to how stupid that is? It's tough. It's like, I don't know, putting gasoline on your skin because you had a tiny spot and you wanted to remove it. This is a bad example, but pretty much what you're doing is you're trying to be health conscious and you're trying to improve your looks. But by doing that, you're also slapping on something that is hurting you 5 times more. So I'm not saying don't use sunscreen, I'm saying be wary of the type you use. And on top of that, instead of using it, reduce your exposure to the sun. Instead of spending 3 hours with sunscreen, spend an hour without sunscreen and then cover up or go in the shade. You don't have to be in the sun all the time. You need to build up tolerance. You start the first time 20 minutes, then 25, then 30 and 35, etc. It's like progressive overload. You don't start by squatting 500 pounds. You squat with 100 and you build up from it. Same for that. Your skin needs to get used to that sun so that it actually tans, because it's very attractive. And if you want to look better, tanning is a good thing. It makes your teeth look shinier as well. It makes your eyes pop, etc., etc. Sun is also extremely good for your hair. And to finish off with the topic before I get into the more meme type of things that surround LOOKSMAXX, we're going to discuss clothes. So my politics surrounding clothes is I want them to be comfy. I'm not going to shoot for the stuff that looks fancy. I want something that I feel good in so that I can actually be myself and be moving the way I want to be moving and interact with my environment in a position where I am confident in myself. This is doable, meaning that you can find comfortable clothes that also look good. It is very possible. Don't fall for the hype or the trend. Find the things that fit you, that work for you. I would add to that there are certain ideas in the fitness and lifting community that I personally find stupid. For example, wearing a super tight t-shirt to show you're muscular is a little bit idiotic, because at the end of the day, if you're small, slapping on an extra small t-shirt doesn't make you look big. It just makes you look constricted. There are ways to do it. You can have something that's flattering and around the muscles, but for the most part, it's not the clothes that is going to be tight. It's the muscle that will make it tight. You get it? Like for example, if you have a big bicep, you wear a t-shirt that is going to be hugging the sleeve, as we say. That is because the bicep is big, not because the sleeve is tight. There's a difference in here, because a guy with a tiny arm and something that is really constricted around the arm doesn't look good. It looks stupid. So before you even worry about clothes that make your muscularity look better, worry about building your muscularity, and then we'll see. You can really go far with that. And you'll find also that once you start getting into the areas of physical development where you are above the norm, it's going to be tough to find clothes. At this point, I recommend buying tailored clothes, especially jeans, because you can keep them for 10 years. And being inventive. Okay, look into your options. Look at what makes you look better and make you feel better, and go with that. You can maintain your style for a lot of time. You don't have to constantly switch. And the beauty of being a male as well is that we're not expected to have a massive wardrobe. You can have 1 or 2 costumes, and then you can just be casual or be semi-casual. It's perfectly fine. As I said, I'm not a fashionista, so I'm not going to tell you to pair stripes with this and that. To me, feel good, look good. And not the other way around, even though they are connected. To finish up with this LOOKSMAXXING, or LOOKSMAXXING, I still have no idea how it's supposed to be pronounced, video, let's talk about the things that have made the rounds on YouTube Fitness, the things that people speak about the most because they say that it makes a massive difference. Let's start with the Jawrsize, which is supposed to make your jawline more defined. It's basically like a chew toy for dogs that you put in your mouth and you do this. It's supposed to work your jawline. First off, the entire concept of the jawline is genetic in a sense. It's how your cranium is shaped. And this is touching into a very delicate topic because a lot of guys don't like to hear it. But yes, the way your cranium is shaped has a direct correlation with the way you're perceived by people and how masculine you are. If you have a massive cranium here and a tiny baby jaw, that's called a wimp skull. It looks like shit. I'm sorry. I know that there are guys who watch this and who have that. I'm sorry, it looks terrible. And then you have the opposite of a massive jaw and a tiny skull, and that is the warrior skull. And to an extent, that can also look like shit. Because if it looks too pronounced, you look like a caveman. And even though that's very masculine and some women are going to dig it, it can make you look a little bit dense in a sense, even though it's just judging based on looks. You can always find ways to make this better. I'm personally not someone who was born with a particularly strong jawline, or a very big jaw. It's not massive from the front either. I'm more balanced. But before I started lifting, if you go back to my transformation pictures, I was on the verge of a wimp skull. I had more of this going on and less of this. And the way I fix that is lifting. You grow your neck. Growing your neck is the best thing you can do for facial aesthetics. If you're not training your neck and you want to look better, I don't know what you're doing. In the Bible of look maxing, grow your neck should be number one underlined. It's the most important thing. It makes your face look better immediately. So you want to do that because as this increased, it makes this look wider as well. And you will find that the more you work, the more you also start to develop more androgenic qualities that are going to make you look less wimpy. I have found that people who stay with a wimp skull for the rest of their life are people who never train. They never develop manly qualities and therefore they look like shit like this for the rest of their life. You want to make a change before the change occurs. And you can also play with your haircuts in order to make that better. But in terms of the Jawrsize thing, I don't think that's a good idea at all, meaning that to me, as I said, the neck is what should increase. The jaw in size is a bone, and the muscles here are, yes, existent, but very small. A lot of the guys who end up being models or jaw models for that type of stuff are guys who were born with a massive square jawline. It's not the product that made it like this. They just market the product using it. You can chew on that thing for the rest of your life. It's not going to do anything. It might develop TMG, meaning that you are going to eventually develop jaw problems because you're constantly training the value of closing and never of opening. It's like with your grip. If you constantly grip and never open and train it, you're going to develop problems in your elbows and your forearms. So you want to stay away from that. That's garbage. If you really want to train jaw for some reason, find some natural chewing gum or like bubble gum, whatever you call it in America, and chew on that. Or, find some food that you can chew on, but don't put that piece of plastic in your mouth. It's plastic on top of that. If you want to know why plastic is bad, again, check the description for the video on hormonal profiles. And stop obsessing over the jaw. The jaw is not the problem. The problem is your neck and the fact that overall you're too skinny, you lack muscles. Mewing is another one of these concepts that is very popular in look maxing circles, which actually has value, meaning that this is the natural position your tongue should be in your mouth. I didn't know what it meant, so I googled it and I was expecting something funny. Like it was mewing, so in my head I saw a cat. So I thought it was doing like this, like meowing like a cat. Apparently it's not. It's just pushing your tongue on the top of your mouth, which again is the natural position the tongue should be in. The resting position of the tongue is not in between the teeth. It's pressed against the palate. If you had a normal development as a child and you breathe through your nose, you would know that. But since you apparently don't, a lot of people don't, yes, mewing works because it's what you're supposed to do all the time. The tongue should always be like this. It's a muscle and it's very strong for a reason. So yes, do that. If you haven't done that as you were growing up as a young man, start doing it now. Start building the good habits. If you're already developed, I don't know if it's going to make a difference in your face. It could. I have no data on that. The last one is Jelqing. I'm not going to take too much time on that. Leave your dick alone. Any type of behavior that requires you to pump it or put it into a device or do whatever things with it, you should be careful of. Keep in mind that your peen is not a muscle, so you're not going to grow it. And on top of that, even if you went through very strenuous things for 5 years and you grew it 1 inch, I'm sorry, bro, but that 1 inch doesn't make a difference. It's not the size of your dick that is going to dictate if you can attract women or please them in bed. Meaning that unless you are really disadvantaged and you have a micro penis, the vast majority of the male population is fine. And this obsession with dick size, actually, in all actuality, is a male obsession. Women don't really care about that much. They just want average size or above average. If anything, you would be fucked if you were too big, because now you can't use it anymore. But if you're just in the shallow waters of what most people have, you're good. I really think that you should spend less time worrying about the size of your dick and more about the size of your body. So don't jelq, please, don't do that. And beware of surgery. I also want you to keep in mind that all of these things I described, you can do by yourself with effort. You don't need to pay someone, and you especially don't need someone to cut you open. Surgery is the worst thing you can do to yourself because it's not going to fix your insecurities. because you didn't work for it. The work you will put into look maxing to look better will make you feel more confident. Paying someone to remove fat or add this or modify the bone of your jaw won't work. It's just going to make it worse and worse and worse. So stay away from that like the plague. Anyone who is getting surgery has some level of mental issues, and those issues should have been tackled before getting under the knife. Surgery is for operations and medical interventions, not to look better. If you want to look better, you have to struggle for it. You have to be patient because all of the things I described are not going to happen in a day. I know that some guys are going to follow some advice and say, oh, 2 months later, like, oh, I'm still not better. Well, duh, you spent 15 years of your life living like shit, and now you are applying fixes and you want immediate results. It's going to take time. You're going to have to undo the damage you did, but eventually it's going to come back. And keep in mind that you are investing in your future as you do so, because aging for males is anabolic and androgenic. The very idea that your body is going to fall apart at the age of 30 is a myth, and a dangerous one at that. If you stay lifting, you apply these advices and the ones in the description and in the pinned comment, and you keep going forward and actually amassing muscle mass, you're going to eventually look amazing. There's no way around that. The way I look now at 27 is worse than I'm going to look at 30, that I'm going to look at 33, 34, 37, up to a point where I'm going to slowly temper down. But before that, I must say that most men hit their prime when they're 40, 45. If you actually pay attention and you take care of yourself. So actually trust yourself, understand that you are still most likely a young man at a point in your life where you are not fully developed yet, but you eventually will. And you want to guide that development towards the right direction. And I'm going to actually leave you with that. So if you have any questions for me in the comments, again, let me know. Have a good day.